Welcome. You're tuned in to the We Are All Artists podcast, a space where we talk about living life as a conscious creative. I'm your host, Adriana Douglas. Our intention is to support you throughout the process of discovering your inner artist and transforming from the inside out. Here in this space, we believe that the way out is through. On the other side is a world with more art, more beauty, and access to more of you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. And now let's begin. Hi, coming to you with a very special episode on what this podcast means to me, what really the title We Are All Artists means, and what inspired me to create this podcast. So first things first, We Are All Artists. Just that title, let it sink in. Let yourself feel what it would feel like, what it would be like for you to embrace that word artist, for you to feel what it's like in your body to experience the artist within, the artist that has opened up their unique expression, their unique voice, their unique gifts, and all the magic that comes from feeling like you get to do, be, and have everything that you've ever desired. So, when I realized that I wanted to write songs, create music, and express myself in that way, I was ecstatic because I felt like I was finally acknowledging a dream that I had for a very long time and had forgotten about for a very long time. And what I started to notice as I was pursuing this dream of songwriting and singing and creating an EP, partnering and collaborating with other artists, I started to realize that it wasn't just about being an artist in that way. And that way will look different for everyone. It can be your artistry and how you show up in the office. It can be your artistry and how you parent your children. It could be your artistry and how you cook dinner. It can be anything. I really was excited for my artist journey to kick off with music, and it was quite literal for me. And I know it won't be quite literal for everyone in terms of like singing, dancing, moving, however it can be, if you want it to be. But what I noticed was that we all have these gifts that only we know what they are and only we can discover them, that we can share with the world. And it's equally how you design your day and how you're the artist and the creator of your life. So it's more than just creativity. It's being a creator. It's being creative. It's knowing that you have a choice. To me, it's been a journey of understanding that you have the choice to use and embrace the gift that you have. And that gift might be something very simple. It doesn't have to be this gift that is going to put you in the spotlight. I think something that came to me and that I contemplated a lot when I realized that I wanted to do something other than and in addition to my full-time job, I grappled a lot with identity and what does this mean? Who am I? Like, what happens if I thought I was this career or this person or this, we label everything, like sister, friend, employee, musician, like we label everything. So it was like, can I actually be this thing? Can I be an artist? I made, as we all do, so much meaning out of it. And to the point where when you make so much meaning out of something of like, oh, I'm not an artist, or oh, you start like the judgment. It becomes really hard and paralyzing to actually explore and enjoy what being an artist could bring you. So the choice to use the gift that you have and embrace it and make time for it. Making time for gifts is so huge. So being an active participant in your life in the present moment. I felt that a handful of years ago, I thought I was being an active participant, but it was like being an active participant in somebody else's story and being an active participant in your own life, in your own story, that whole main character energy idea. To me, that was finally inviting my inner artist to speak up and to become alive. And so where that brings me to is tapping into your emotions and your inner world. You're the creator and the created. Can you be a student of life? Can you tap into that childlike wonder? Can you be curious? And can you contribute to something that's greater than you and something that is in service to others? That was something that I really felt was a big part of artistry for me, was something that people get to experience and feel. So do people get to feel and experience you on a daily basis? Can people feel you when they're in conversation with you? Can they feel what you're creating? Are you visible? Are you able to be seen? So what I realized was that a lot of what came up when I started a journey of tapping into my inner artist was that there were all sorts of feelings that came up when I realized all of these things that I just shared with you. And not only did feelings come up, there felt like there was this pressure of like waking up and being like, our time is so finite on this planet. And that was something that I saw in a Gary Vee video or reel at some point where somebody asked him for advice or asked him for something, and she's like talking to him through his car window, and he's like, these 3 words, you're gonna die. And that was a piece of advice that hit me like very few pieces of advice where I suddenly started to take into account that I was the only person that was going to be able to connect with my inner artist and understand and listen to what actually wanted to be created for like throughout and currently in my life. Let's just say like in the now for this chapter in my life and what that might look like. So the We're All Artists journey it started with songwriting and music journey, and it really turned into how do I want to macro level design my life and design some of the things that I want to do that felt more like legacy based. And once this started happening, the goals that I've been creating are goals that are much longer term. So it's creating in the moment, but playing the long game and knowing that the creations come in the right timing. Timing's everything. And what I desired to do with this podcast for me was one, a place where so many of the mentors and teachers that I learned from over the past few years, I wanted to make sure that I could share their knowledge and share their resources and their wisdom with you all so that you could benefit from it and share that the journey to becoming the artist you've always dreamed of, whether that's a musician or whether that's a baker or whether that's an artist in whichever way you define it, is that it will look different for all of you, and that it includes cleaning up and tapping into a lot of unfelt things, a lot of things that have not been uncovered it from inside. You know, you need to discover a path of self-discovery. And another thing that this podcast for me is about is releasing limitation. This is a huge edge for me to share a podcast and be seen in this way. But also, it's a way for me to start and be a beginner and know that I can use my voice in this way, and then also share singing and songwriting when the timing feels correct. So it's also honoring that we are super multidimensional, and that the timing of these gifts and the timing of the creativity and the timing of your artistry all unfolds as it will and as it should. And I think that's so important, because it's not like you declare your desires and then you take the action and allow for some magic along the way for things to happen. And I think I had a lot of expectation in the beginning that some of these desires in the realm of feeling like you're the artist of your life and designer of your life, I thought a lot of things would happen much faster. Like my timeline was the timeline I expected, and if it didn't go to my timeline, then something was wrong. But what's happening is, like, when you do that, you miss out on the joy of the now, the joy of the creation of what you're creating in that moment, in that day. And so this is just, for me, some food for thought in terms of where my mind went and in terms of what I wanted to share on this podcast. But more than anything, I love conversations. I love curating an experience for people. So I love pulling together all of the bits and pieces of things that I've learned, all of the cool methods and workshops and things that I've attended, and be able to pass that along to other people. And for me, this has also been a huge, huge way to creatively express and play around with production and play around with what parts of different creative processes do I like, which parts don't I like. So it's all an experiment. And then you can figure out what you want to build on, what you want to continue doing. So it's just something that's meant to be fun, something that's meant to be joyful, something that's meant to be alongside you as you do whatever activity you're doing while you're listening. And know that there's an activity out there. There is expression available for you to claim if you so choose. So I hope this gave you some insight into my why of creating the podcast and what the title has meant to me. And I'll talk to you soon. Oh, and one more thing before you go. I wanted to let you in on something that I'm offering soon. The Artist's Way is the book that really kicked off this journey for me, and I'd like to pay it forward by facilitating a creative cluster once per year. This is a 12-week process that is intended to teach people to process and transform life through acts of creativity. I wish I would have had a group to go on this journey with when I did the book, and I would love for you to join me. Winter is the perfect time to go inward and reflect. There will be maximum 4 spots in order to keep it intimate. We start January 15th. For more information and application, please DM me on Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you learned something new and embrace being the student of your own life until the time we meet again. If you'd like a way to support the show and to hear more of this content, it means so much to me for you to take a few minutes out of your day to leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'd love to stay connected with you on Instagram or TikTok at Adriana Goes Creative. You can find me and hit follow while you're feeling inspired right after listening to the show. I can't wait to get a DM from you hearing what you loved about it and what you desire to hear more of. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. I'll talk to you soon. This podcast is for entertainment and general informational purposes only. I am not a licensed healthcare professional, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician or other qualified professional.